Iyov chapter 20. Then Zophar the Naamathite answered and said, Truly my thoughts make me respond, even because of my haste within me. I have listened to the reproof which insults me, and the spirit of my understanding makes me answer. You have known this of old, since man was placed on earth, that the singing of the wrong is short-lived, and the joy of the defiled one is but for a moment. Although his pride mounts up to the heavens, and his head does reach to the clouds, he perishes forever like his own dung. Those who have seen him say, Where is he? He flies away like a dream, and is not found, and he is driven away like a vision of the night. His eyes that saw him do so no more, nor does his place see him any more. His sons seek the favor of the poor, and his hands give back his wealth. His bones shall be filled with his youth, but it lies down with him in the dust. Though evil is sweet in his mouth, he hides it under his tongue. Though he fondles it, it does not forsake it, but still keeps it in his mouth. His food is turned in his stomach. The bitterness of cobras is in him. He has swallowed down riches, then vomits them up. El drives it out of his stomach. He sucks the poison of cobras. The tongue of the poisonous snake kills him. But he looks not on streams, the rivers flowing with honey and cream. He is giving back what he labored for, and does not eat it, like wealth from his trade, but he does not enjoy it, for he has oppressed. He has forsaken the poor. He has seized a house which he did not build. For he shall not know ease in his innermost, neither save what he desires. There is no one over after he has eaten. Therefore his good does not last. With all his plenty he is in distress. The hand of every laborer comes against him. It shall be at the filling of his stomach that he casts on him the burning wrath, and rains it down on him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon. The bronze bow pierce through him. It is drawn and comes out of the body, and the gleaming point comes out of his gall. Fear comes upon him, and all darkness waits for his treasures. A fire is not blown, consumes him. It destroys what remains in his tent. The heavens reveal his crookedness, and the earth rises up against him. The increases of his throne depart, flowing away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion from Elohim for a wrong man, and the heritage of El has decreed for him. Iyov chapter 21. And Iyov answered Zophar and said, Listen closely to my words, and let this be your comfort. Bear with me, and let me speak, and I have spoken. When after I have spoken, keep mocking. As for me, is my complaint against man? And why should I not be impatient? Look at me and be appalled. Then put your hand on your mouth. And when I consider it, I am frightened, and my body shudders. Why do the wrong live, become old, and become mighty in power? Their seed is established with them before their face, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are peace without fear, neither is the rod of Eloah upon them. Their bull breeds and does not fail. Their cow calves without miscarriage. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They sing to the tambourine and the lyre, and they rejoice to the sound of the flute. They spend their days in goodness, and in a moment go down to Sheol. And they say to El, turn aside from us, for we have no desire to know your ways. Who is the Almighty, that we should serve him? And what profit do we have if we pray to him? See, is their good not in their own hand? The counsel of the wrong has been far from me. How often is the lamp of the wrong put out, and does come upon them in their calamity? Sorrows he allots in his displeasure. They are like straw before the wind, and like the chaff that a storm steals away. You say, Eloah stores up one's wickedness for his children. Let him repay him so that he knows it. Let his eyes see his destruction, and let him drink the wrath of the Almighty. For what is his delight in his house after him, when the number of his new moons is cut off? Does anyone teach El knowledge, since he judges those that are exalted? One dies in his perfect strength, completely at ease and satisfied. His pails are filled with milk, and his bones are juicy with marrow. Another one dies in the bitterness of his being, and never eats with pleasure. Together they lie down in the dust, and worms cover them. Look, I know your thoughts, and the plots with which you would wrong me. For you say, where is the house of the noble one? And where is the tent of the dwelling place of the wrong ones? Have you not asked those passing by the way? And do you not know their signs, that the wicked is kept for the day of calamity? They are brought to the day of wrath. Who declares his way to his face, and who repays him for what he has done? As for him, he is brought to the burial site, and a watch is kept over the heap. The clods of the wadi shall be sweet to him, and all men follow him. Innumerable are those before him. How then do you comfort me in vain, seeing that perverseness remains in your answers? Job 22. And Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, would a strong man be of use to El, even he who is wise be of use to him? Is it a delight to the Almighty that you are righteous, or gain that you make your ways perfect? Is it because you fear him that he reproves you, or enters into right ruling with you? Is not your evil great, and is there no end to your crookedness? For you take pledges from your brothers for naught, and strip the naked of your garments. You do not give the weary water to drink, and you have withheld bread from the hungry. But the man of strength, he has the earth, and the highly respected man dwells in it. You have sent widows away empty, and the arms of the fatherless are crushed. Therefore snares are all around you, and sudden fear alarms you, or darkness, so that you do not see, and the flood of water covers you. Is not Eloah in the height of the heaven? And see, the highest star, how lofty they are. And you have said, what does El know? Would he judge through the dark cloud? Clouds screen him, so that he does not see, and he moves about the circuit of the heavens. Do you observe the old way which wicked men have trod? Who were cut down before their time, whose foundations were swept away by the flood. They said to El, turn aside from us, and what did the Almighty do for them? Yet he filled their houses with the good, but the counsel of the wrong has been far from me. The righteous see it and are glad, and the innocent mock them, and say, truly our adversaries are cut off, and fire has consumed their excesses. Be of service to him, and be at peace, thereby blessing shall come to you. Please accept the Torah from his mouth, and lay up his words in your heart. If you return to the Almighty, you are built up. If you remove unrighteousness far from your tents, and lay your gold in the dust, and the gold of Ophir among the stones of the wadis, then the Almighty shall be your gold and your silver, strength to you. Then you shall certainly delight in the Almighty, and lift up your face to Eloah. Make your prayer to him, and he shall hear you, and you shall pay your vows. And whatever you decide on shall be established for you, and light shine on your ways. For they have made low, and you say, up, and he saves the lowly of eyes. Would he deliver one who is not innocent? So by the cleanness of your hands you shall be delivered. Iyov 23. And Iyov answered Eliphaz the Temanite, and said, even today my complaint is bitter. My hand is heavy on account of my groaning. If only I knew where to find him, I would come to his dwelling place. I would present my case before him, and fill my words with proofs. I would know the words which he would answer me, and understand what he would say to me. Would he contend with me in great power? No, but he would pay attention to me. There the upright might reason with him, and I would go safe forever from my judge. See, I go forth, but he is not, and backward, but I do not perceive him. To the left, where he is working, but I do not see him. He turns to the right, but I do not see. For he knows the way that I take when he has tried me. I would come forth as gold, my foot as held fast to his steps, and have guarded his way, and did not turn aside. I have not strayed from the commands of his lips. I have treasured the words of his mouth more than my own law. But he is echad, he is one, and who does turn him? And he does whatever his being has desired. For he makes complete my law, and many like these are with him. Therefore I am troubled at his presence. I consider, and I am afraid of him. For El has made me faint-hearted, and the Almighty has alarmed me, because I was not cut off before the darkness, and from my face he has covered the thick darkness. Iyov 24. Times are not hidden from the Almighty, and why have not those who know him seen his days? They remove landmarks, they rob and feed on flocks, they drive away the donkeys of the fatherless, and take the widow's ox as a pledge. They turn the needy out of their way, and the poor of the earth have hidden together. See, as wild donkeys in the wilderness, they go about their tasks, eager seekers for prey. The desert gives his bread for the children. They reap his fodder in a field, and they glean the vineyard of the wrong. They spend the night naked, without a garment and without covering in the cold. They are wet with the showers of the hills, and they have embraced a rock for lack of shelter. They snatch away the fatherless from the breast, and take a pledge from the poor. Naked they shall go about without a garment, and hungry, and they shall take away sheaves. They press out oil within their walls, wine presses they shall tread, yet suffer thirst. Men groan in the city, and the beings of the wounded cry out, and YAHUAH does not regard it as foolish. They have become rebels against the light. They have not known his ways, nor remain in his paths. The murderer rises at daylight. He kills the poor and the needy, and in the night he is as a thief. And the eye of the adulterer watches for dusk, saying, No eye sees me, and he puts a covering on his face. In the dark he has broken into houses. By the day they shut themselves up. They have not known light. For all of them mourning is the same as the shadow of death, when he discerns the extreme fears of the shadow of death. He is swift on the face of the waters. Their portion is cursed in the earth. He does not turn into the way of the vineyards. Drought and heat snatch away snow waters. Sheol, those who have sinned. The womb forgets him. The worm feeds sweetly on him. He is remembered no more. The wickedness is broken like a tree treating evil, the barren who does not bear, and does not no good for the widow. But he draws the mighty away with his power. He rises up, and no one is certain of life. He gives him safety, and he leans on it. Yet his eyes are on their ways. They are lifted up for a little while, then they are gone. Then they shall be brought low. Like all else they are gathered up, and they are cut off like the heads of grain. And if it is not so, why does prove me a liar, and make my words worthless? Iyov 25. And Bildad the Shuhite answered and said, Rule and fear belongs to him, making peace in his high places. Is there any number to his armies? And on whom does his light not rise? So how could man be righteous before El? Or how could he be flawless who is born of a woman? See, even the moon does not shine, and the stars have not been flawless in his eyes. How much less a man, a maggot, and a son of a man, a worm? Iyov 26. And Iyov answered Bildad the Shuhite and said, How have you helped the powerless, saved an arm not strong? How have you given counsel to the unwise, or declared sound advice to many? With whom have you spoken words, and whose spirit came from you? The dead wait, those under the waters, and those inhabiting them. Sheol is naked before him, and destruction has no covering. He it was who stretched out the north over emptiness, hanging the earth upon space, binding up waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not torn under them, covering the surface of his throne, spreading his cloud over it, a law of encirclement on the face of the waters, until the end of light with darkness. The columns of the heavens tremble and are stunned at his reproof. By his power he has calmed the sea, and by his understanding he struck down Rahab. By his spirit he adorned the heavens. His hand whirled the fleeing serpent. See, these are the fringes of his ways, and how little a matter is heard of him, and who understands the thunder of his power? Iyov 27. And Iyov again took up his discourse and said, As El lives, who has turned aside my right ruling, and the Almighty who has made my life bitter, as long as my breath is in me, and the spirit of Eloah in my nostrils, my lips do not speak unrighteousness, nor my tongue utter deceit. Far be it from me that I grant that you are right. Until I die, I would not turn aside my integrity from me. My righteousness I hold fast, and I do not let it go. My heart does not reproach me as long as I live. Let my enemy be like the wrongdoer and he who rises up against me like the unrighteous. For what is the expectancy of the defiled one, that he does cut off, when YAHUAH takes away his life? Would El hear his cry when distress comes upon him? Would he delight himself in the Almighty? Call on YAHUAH at all times. Let me teach you by the hand of El, that which is with Almighty. I do not hide. See, all of you have seen it. Why then are you altogether vain? This is the portion of the wrong man with El, and the inheritance of cruel ones, which they received from the Almighty. If his children are increased, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not have enough to eat. Those who remain of him are buried in death, and their widows do not weep. Though he heaps up silver like dust and lays up garments like clay, he lays up, but the righteous puts it on, and the innocent divides the silver. He builds his house like a moth, like a booth which a watchman made. He lies down, a rich man, but he is not gathered. When he opens his eyes, it is no more. Alarms overtake him like a flood. A storm wind shall steal him away in the night. The east wind takes him away, and he is gone, for it sweeps him from his place, and it hurls him itself against him, and does not spare. He swiftly flees from its power. It claps its hands at him, and it hisses him out of his place. Iyov 28. Indeed, there is a mine for silver, and a place where gold is refined. Iron is taken from the earth, and copper is smelted from ore. An end to darkness he has set, and to every limit he is searching, to rocks in deepest darkness. He opens a shaft far away from his people. They are forgotten by feet. They hang far away from men. They swing to and fro. Earth, out of which grows food, is turned underneath as by fire. Its stones are the places of sapphires, and it has dust of gold. No bird of prey knows the path, nor has the hawk seen it. The proud beasts have not trodden it, nor has the fierce lion passed over it. He puts his hand on the flint, he shall overturn the mountains at the rocks. He cuts out channels in the rocks, and his eyes sees every precious gem. He dams up the sources of rivers, and he brings to light what is hidden. And wisdom, where is it found? And where is the place of understanding? Man does not know its value, and it is not found in the land of the living. The deep has said, it is not in me, and the sea has said, it is not with me. Gold is not given for it, nor is silver weighed out as a price. It is not valued in the gold of Ophir, in the precious Shosham or sapphire. Gold or crystal are not to be compared with it, nor is it exchanged for a vessel of fine gold. No mention is made of coral or crystal, for the price of wisdom is far above rubies. The topaz of Cush is not to be compared with it, nor is it valued in clean gold. And wisdom, from where does it come, and where is it the place of understanding? It has been hidden from the eyes of all living, and concealed from the birds of the heaven. Destruction and death have said, with our eyes we have heard a report of it. Elohim has understood its way, and he has known its place. For he looks to the ends of the earth, sees under all the heavens, making a weight for the wind, and the measuring out of the waters by measure, when he made a law for the rain, and a way for the lightning of thunder. Then he saw wisdom and declared it. He prepared it and also searched it out. And he said to man, see, the fear of Yahweh, that is wisdom, and to turn from evil is understanding. Iyov 29. And Iyov again took up his discourse and said, O that I were as in months past, as in the days of YAHUAH protected me, when his lamp shone on my head, and I walked in the dark by his light, as I was in the days of my autumn, when the intimacy of YAHUAH was on my tent, when the Almighty was still with me, when my children were around me, when my steps were bathed with cream and the rocks poured out rivers of oil for me, when I went out to the gate by the city to take my seat in the open square. The young men saw me and hid, and the aged rose up. They stood. Rulers held back their words and laid a hand on their mouth. The voice of leaders was hushed, and their tongue clung to the roof of their mouth. For when the ear heard, it blessed me, and when the eye saw, it gave witness of me, because I rescued the poor who cried out, and the fatherless who had no helper. The blessing of the perishing one would come upon me, and I made the widow's heart sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it robed me. Right ruling was my tallit, my cloak, and my turban. I was eyes to the blind, and I was feet to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and I investigated the case which I did not know. And I broke the jaws of the perverse, and snatched the prey from his teeth. Then I thought I would die in my nest, and increase my days as the sand, my root reaching out to the waters, and dew lying all night on my branches. My esteem fresh within me, and my bow renewed to my hand. To me they listened, and they waited, and kept silent at my counsel. After my words they did not speak again, and my speech settled on them. And they waited for me like the rain, and they opened their mouth wide as for the latter rain. I smiled at those who did not believe, and the light of my face they did not dim. I chose the way for them, and sat as chief. And I dwelt like a sovereign in the army, like one who comforts mourners.